everyone's favorite freaking YouTube detective is at it again, boys. And it looks like it's not, I don't know if it's another Logan Paul situation. I don't know who this dude is. You know, he looks like the purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's. But, you know, you already know, if CoffeeZilla's involved, there's some sketch going on, and it's going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look, my dudes.
Celsius is a billion-dollar company that told its customers to unbank yourself with crypto. But then last year, they declared bankruptcy and sold
I remember that tag. I remember unbank yourself.
Now, at the time, I reported on extreme incompetence, but stopped short of using the F word, fraud.
Okay.
Because we just didn't have all the evidence.
I remember that phrase, so I think I know more or less what's happening.
Celsius insiders talking, and my personal interviews with victims. Make no mistake.
Now, before if I remember correctly, yeah, his big major tagline was like, "No more banks, unbank yourself." But then when things started to go down, he's like, "Hey guys, like this is the way it works, right? You're gonna give us your money, we're gonna hold on to it for you, we're gonna invest it, and allegedly, I don't know all the full details. Please go back and check that, you know." But it's basically like, wait, so basically you're saying you're a bank? Like, he literally started doing the exact same things that banks do.
This was a gigantic fraud.
It's the most, like,
and the founder might get away with it.
You could
shine a light on this issue, here is my full
physically hear people all around the world face palming. The full story of Celsius. Oh, you're gonna do like a recap? Because it's been a while, dude.
So when we're talking about taking back power, it's really not even from the government. It's really from corporations that dominate our lives.
Here we go.
That system, right, does not work for 95% of the people on the planet. Why? Because the banks control all the money in the world.
94% of the planet. You mean because the vast majority of the planet has no banks? Like, these dudes who think literally just the U.S. is like the whole world.
We talk about all the money in the world. Well, it sounds
like, I'm not saying they don't have banks, right? But I'm saying, like, it just doesn't work the same yet. Like, it's just like, what are you talking about? These percentages, man.
Really helps people
they're always ridiculous.
Navigate in a safe way into this environment. So when you use a Celsius wallet, you...
Out of curiosity now, I have to look that up. I'm interested. How much of the world has a bank? How much of the world... Just out of pure, genuine curiosity now. So literally only 76%, let me bring it over here. Only 76%, according to worldbank.org, 76% of the global population and 71% of people in developing countries have banks. Yeah, that's like again, just this is how you know, like, and this is, by the way, that's how quickly I figured out this was a scam. Live reaction right here. I figured out that this was a scam. All the poor people who invested.
You know, okay, I'm gonna.
That's how fast it takes to figure out that this dude is a freaking you know, allegedly.
What's safe. Normally, we trust people that we think are acting in our
banks
best
are
interest.
Not your friends. Look at this guy.
But what if these people are not acting in our best interest? What if?
Yeah, of course they're not. Why would you ever... People, never assume anyone ever in any situation is acting in your best interest. Because they are not you.
Their interest exactly
you act in your best interest.
Should we continue giving them our money? Or should we take the money and put it somewhere else?
Yeah, let's not trust the bank and instead trust this dude with all our money.
In assets, you first have to understand what they were selling. It wasn't just a place to borrow.
This dude got the chair now?
Money. It was more than that.
With a fancy
controller?
Battle
against the evil banks. And their CEO, Alex Mashinsky, was here to level
Dude, what's with the directing all of a sudden?
Banks are not your friend.
Ooh. But dude started getting real intricate with the shots now.
So I have a lot of my own money in the company, several $100 million as well. I'm talking about as a user of the service, not as a equity shareholder. So basically everybody said, hey, can I take the same ride on the same bus with you? You're earning 8.8%. Can I earn it? Then the answer is yes. You get exactly the same. You have $100 or $1,000 or $1 million. You earn the same yield as everybody else.
And this pitch was really attractive. Not to mention...
It is, but again... Like, it's just one of those, if it's too good to be true, you know? And I hate using that. I've always hated that freaking phrase. It's too good to be true. Like, how do you know if it's too good to be true? But As I grow up, it's very noticeable. The vast majority of the times, if someone's like giving you this amazing speech of like, I might be the guy in charge and doing all the effort and work and everything and all the finances and stuff, but trust me, we're making the same amount of money. It's like, no, we're not. No, we're not.
Celsius offers
because we shouldn't. If you're doing all the work, you're making all the stuff. Logically, it just wouldn't work. It just like there's no way.
This is part of how he was battling
to make a business like that.
We basically thought,
if the head of the business and the lowest people of the business are making the same amount of money, it just doesn't make any sense.
8 billion people are going to say, of course, I want to earn more money on my money. So the customer was there. The second part was, we can take on the banks and win. Why? Because 8 billion...
Bro, my stance still stays true. If you see these freaking, like, generic, like, freaking, like, stencil, like, pictures... It's an absolute, like, scam. My statement stands true so far.
That's really the key.
Allegedly.
Then we went and presented it to 200 venture companies, and they all say, nope, you're not going to
I don't trust weird, sketchy animations. No.
We actually went to the community, said, we're going to build this for you. Do you want it? And we raised $50 million from the community.
That and companies who call their employees family. Like, no, we're not family, bro.
Them, hey,
calm down.
1.5 million people showed up. 30 billion in assets.
If we were family, you'd be paying my bills. Come on.
We've proven that people will send somebody money to manage or digital assets to manage, and that was really a breakthrough. No one has done that in 700 years of banking. There hasn't been anyone who actually taken on the banks in a real way.
And this clearly worked. Celsius customers told me that the reason they switched was just to get a higher yield on their money.
Honestly, I was looking for a place to stake and earn interest and earn yield on my crypto.
I was actually first in crypto.com, and then I saw Celsius on YouTube. It had higher yields and everything, so I kind of moved my stuff from crypto.com to Celsius.
People were writing about Alex Machinsky and all the messaging on the website.
I'll be real with y'all.
He's an entrepreneur.
I know there's money to be made on the crypto space to a certain degree. I'm so glad I'm out of it already. It was so stressful, bro. It was so freaking stressful.
Systems.
Now look, of course.
Like I'm not even a social. Like I'm not a big social media guy. I never check my social media really.
Flags, but at the time,
unless I have something genuinely funny to say or something, like I just don't get on there. I'm not gonna waste your time. I'm not gonna waste my time.
Look at Luna and stuff like that. So.
I would non-stop be opening my phone just to check the stock market, the stock on crypto, bro.
Who convinced people? It was Mashinsky himself who gave a really compelling argument that banks were lending out your money and keeping most of the profit for themselves, and he was going to do something different.
We're paying fees upon fees upon fees. They charge us $24.
Which is true. If you don't know, the bank is using the money that you
borrow money on our credit card.
Effectively they're holding on to you. They will use that money to invest, and
it's going to the total
typically intelligent investments that they will make money back on. But that's why every year you get interest, especially if in your savings. The savings will have a lot more interest because that's how they know that it's a more secure pile of money that they can borrow from. But typically, the reason why you choose a major big bank is because they got tons of cash. So if something does go wrong, or you start like your money is still secured, even if they lose on a particular investment, they will have a lot more money. The major problem there is, like, if anybody here has seen Mr. Robot, the major problem here is what happens when the economy starts to crash and the bank suddenly says you can't get your money back. I'm sorry, nah.
Again,
that's a real legitimate fear and has already happened once in the history of the United States.
And go into a new world
which is why Chase, the bank Chase, is actually such a huge bank here nowadays, because they basically are the ones that pulled us out of that economic situation.
Alex was going to lend out your money.
That's a very interesting history. I would definitely recommend if you guys are into finances and stuff. Super cool.
I remember them talking about how 80% of their profits were returned to users as a reward. And so that's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was loaning money to someone that had close to good enough collateral.
Bro, is that a 3D printed Venom helmet?
We then landed to
That's sick! That was a 3D printed Venom head.
So we've collected over $700 million.
What's he making? What's his story? Hold on.
From the institution and distributed most of that. 80% of that went to the
Dude,
retail
I want a
users,
3D printer so
80%
bad.
of whatever we collected. Celsians next
Yeah, I
year
don't even know I'd be
benefiting
making.
because we are lending.
Oh, Arif, absolutely, my dude. Have yourself a great day. Thank you so much for swinging by, my dude.
Of that income with all the
Dude, I
other
want to get a
Celsians.
3D
It's
printer. I'm
win-win-win.
gonna make so many
Of
waifu
course, if
statues.
that's not enough to convince you, Celsius also said that in addition
You
to
can
making
paint it
high
yourself.
yield,
I'll
they
make
were
my own Dungeons
extremely
and Dragons
conservative.
like
They
stuff. I've
told
always wanted to get
customers
into it. I
that
just
there
bought
was
the starter
collateral
pack
backing
actually.
up all their loans in case of a disaster. And the key thing to understand here is that this secured loan with collateral is much less risky than unsecured loans where there is no collateral. And ultimately, Celsius said because of this, a bank run wouldn't affect them.
And every day, we have a process, the daily reconciliation process, where our team, like 20 or 25 people, get on a call and grind through all the tokens and all the coins and make sure that we have more coins than what we owe the community, right? That's our process.
Like what? Like here's right off the bat. I hate that statement. What does that mean? What do you mean you have a bunch of people that grind the coins every day? What does that mean? Like it's just a bunch of big gobbledygook, you know?
No bank in
It's
the world
goblin
can
speak,
do
it's
that for you
gobbledygook.
because they never have enough assets to return for you if there is a run on the bank.
And these promises of safety and collateralization were key to people actually putting their money in with Celsius.
When I deposited my money in Celsius, I thought their primary business model was over-collateralized lending. I thought they would deposit more assets than they borrowed money on the platform and they'd pay interest to pay a return. And so that way I said, hey, I'm not going to lose my money because all of the loans are over-collateralized and I'm able to earn a yield.
And look, all of this sounds great. And so far we've been establishing why people were so excited about Celsius in the first place. So if that was the case, then what's the problem? Well, the problem was Celsius went bankrupt. And not everything was as it seemed.
And that's the funniest part too. This is one of the reasons why I do genuinely love the English language. Because sometimes there's just a little tiny diamond, you know, a little diamond in the rough. A little can I please, there we go. A little diamond, you know. It for example, this guy's entire platform was unbank yourself. Because banks can go bankrupt and they can't. Then he went bankrupt. This non-bank went bankrupt. Like it writes itself.
Let's go back to the studio.
Crypto lender went from managing
writes itself, my
billions
dude.
in assets to filing for bankruptcy in just a matter of months.
Oh,
CNBC obtained
man.
dozens of internal documents that in part show disorganization,
Plagued by
prices drop,
mismanagement.
and the industry faces a liquidity crunch.
The collapse of Celsius
You know,
came as a
the same
huge
mismanagement they
surprise to
accuse banks
anyone
of.
Listening to Alex Mashinsky, all the way up to
Take a
shutting
sip of
down,
water.
he had claimed that Celsius had billions of dollars in liquidity, just ready for withdrawals.
We have billions of dollars in liquidity. So anyone who wants to withdraw, that's a service. You can withdraw at any time.
So what happened? If that was true, why
If
did
I
it fall
remember
apart?
correctly,
Well, the picture wasn't clear.
and I
Heard
don't, right?
allegations from people
I don't
like
think
Dirty
people
Vote
were able to
Media
withdraw, even
that
though he kept
Alex
saying it.
Mashinsky was selling his own tokens. We also found out that Alex withdrew money off of Celsius before
he like that's the worst part is that he didn't sync with the ship. The dude straight up like was fixing himself
shut
up
down.
before
But at
announcing
this point, we
that they
didn't
were
fully
going bankrupt.
understand
Like they just
why
held that
Celsius
information
had
for
collapsed.
so
Was it
long,
just
dude.
incompetence or greed? These were open questions until a few weeks ago, because that's when the court-appointed examiner released her 600-page report detailing exactly what happened with Celsius. In this massive report, the examiner details not only systemic lying, a Ponzi-like scheme, but also tells us what I think constitutes fraud. Here's a breakdown of the report, starting with the biggest lie of all: the interest you'd get on depositing your crypto. You see, for
So they weren't
years,
even getting
Celsius had
the
been
interest
telling
they were
people
promised?
They paid what they did.
I would like to recommend you to react to the trailer of a geopolitical simulator called Power
loans.
Revolution
And
2022
we're very
edition
proud
made
as well
by
to pay out
Eversim,
over
in case anyone watching your
80%
streams like
of our
geopolitics,
revenues
media law, and
directly
simulator
back to
together.
the community, and so this is
Oh, for sure,
something
my
that
dude. Post
we
a
are gonna
link.
continue to do, and we look very carefully at all of our numbers on both sides to make sure that we are doing that, and that's also what is helping us decide the rates every single week that we're paying out on coins.
Yeah,
This
essentially,
was a
dude
lie.
went to Vegas with
According
your
to
money
the
and
report,
lost.
Celsius did-
He pulled a Mr. Beast. You saw that where he freaking called up Ludwig, and he basically just told him, "Hey, pick, man, black or red, black or red." He was playing our favorite freaking game, dude. He was playing roulette, and he just like put 500K, and he was just like, pick, and Ludwig was like, black, and then he's like, no, why would you make me pick? Now it's on me. Oh, it was hilarious, but I think it was all like I won't spoil anything, but it was hilarious. Watch it.
Not distribute up to 80%.
Like he called them live on a stream or something. It was
because
hilarious.
It had little to no profits to even distribute. Celsius also made no efforts to set its reward rates based on its yield. And look, I know what you're thinking. If they didn't set the rewards based on what they actually were making as a company, what did they set them based on? Well, on getting more customers. And according to the report, Celsius consistently set its reward rates based on what they perceived was necessary to beat the competition. And for most of Celsius,
so they just made up the numbers. Whatever numbers made them look good.
Substantial amounts the revenues Celsius could earn. So for those of you following along, the whole idea that we're paying 80% of what we make was a total fabrication. Celsius just wanted more customers, which, as you might imagine, works when you're bringing on more assets with new users.
They literally just made whatever promises they had to make to get you to join.
Pay rewards based on that. And the Celsius team realized they had a problem. But even as some within Celsius management attempted to lower reward rates, Mashinsky, quote, overrode their recommendations and refused to do so. One example of this was when Jason Perman, a Celsius executive...
So they were trying to fix the issue. This dude was just like, not letting them.
Recalled Mashinsky saying that Celsius could not cut its reward rates because of his belief that our customers will leave us. And that, quote, our investors didn't invest in us to shrink. They invested in us to double. So with this new understanding that they weren't going to be able to lower
all our customers
rates,
will leave us, so let's leave them instead.
Were stuck with the other strategy,
wow.
Trying to raise what they were able to
Thank
make
you for the like,
with
Master
their
Sam.
assets by employing riskier investment strategies to try to get closer to profitability. And guess what? They lied about this too. Even as the company started to make riskier investments, like offering unsecured loans, Mashinsky told people the opposite. He said everything was business as usual.
Celsius is very, very strict at who we lend to, right? So we only lend to the first-tier institutions, first-tier exchanges. We do not do all kind of unsecured lending like a lot of people are talking about or saying Celsius does unsecured. We do not do unsecured lending.
But of course, this wasn't true. Celsius internally had been talking about the number of unsecured loans they were giving out increasing, shown here in orange. And internally on Slack, executives were furious. Quote, I just told him that the number is increasing and the overall ratio of collateral with institutions is going down. Another executive responded, yes, so why does he publish so dangerous statements? Everyone out there, if you have an unsecured loan,
so everyone on the inside just knows. And this dude is just out there making it way worse.
Even as he literally asked for it.
He was pulling an Elon Musk where everyone's like, shut up, stop talking.
On Twitter,
you're making it worse every time you open your mouth. Stop it.
Say, hey, I took a loan, here's my loan number. You know, I took a loan from Celsius and then I did not have to provide at least 200% collateral.
And through the next year, Mashinsky continued to boast about how safe Celsius was, even as the team began to engage in riskier behavior. In the same year, Celsius would recognize $800 million in losses from some of these investments. Mashinsky told the
that right there is a pretty big smoking gun. The fact that they got all of they have it all on paper, and they also have it on paper that this dude is just not telling them.
In June 2021, this.
So they can't even say they didn't know or they didn't understand.
That regulators worldwide
That's really the difference between mismanagement and fraud.
Celsius was over $500 million underwater.
If they can just prove that there was intention at any point for them to just screw over their customers and let it all go.
By the end of the year 2021,
that's not
Celsius would owe
the immediate definition, but that's
that they did not have.
More or less in layman's terms, so to speak. I'm not a lawyer.
Wait a minute. I thought
the robot
said this was a fraud.
Oh, he got an upgrade.
There's another way of looking at this.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine I'm
Dude, you got extras now? Put me in the back. I want to be back there somewhere.
I could pass the
I don't drink alcohol anymore, so you're going to have to give me a banana smoothie or something.
But anyways, what I would say if you were coming at my client is, look.
But if you had to put a drink on me,
standard
an entire wine bottle.
They could have become profitable eventually.
Like Vanessa from
yes.
Black Clover. Oh, good anime.
That's the American dream, Coffee.
Do you actually believe that, though?
Doesn't matter what I believe. If a single person on that jury was an entrepreneur, Alex would walk.
Well, either way, your hypothetical doesn't even matter. Mashinsky isn't even being criminally charged.
Wait, Really? Well, I rest my case then.
Yeah.
Bro, plug
nice
this
try.
bot into the
But
internet
it's
so he
not
can
that
know what's
simple.
happening. Come on,
They're
man.
still suing him for some of the money. He's just not being criminally charged.
And let me guess. You don't think that's enough?
No, I don't think it's enough. I mean, it's a slap on the wrist. It's a financial speeding ticket for a guy who ruined so many people's lives.
But that's my point.
Again, like, it comes back to this, because this happens pretty often, where effectively it's like, hey, if you're going to scam people, make sure you scam them for enough money that you're able to pay off the bail. You're able to pay off, the law effectively. And please, don't break the law in any kind of way. However, that's effectively, like, the big message that doing, like, not, like, giving these slaps on the wrist effectively sends that message out. You know what I mean? Because they're not facing any real repercussions here.
Copy. If you think
Oh,
it's so
I
you
stole a
gotta
couple
give me
$1 million.
more than
You're gonna
this.
charge me a
But
couple
how?
$100,000.
Instead of
Ah,
yourself,
man.
instead of claiming incompetent, they faked it till they didn't make it.
Ah, but that's because the evidence so far is lies and incompetence. You need to show a definitive step across that line. That's the only way people are gonna believe you. Well, that and...
What?
Well, this might be ironic coming from me, but it wouldn't hurt to humanize the story a bit. Don't get stuck in the technical jargon. Nobody can follow that. Make me feel something.
You a robot,
As
though.
much as
You
it
can't even
pains me
feel
to
nothing.
Say this, I think you might be right. Let me see what I can do.
What does that money
Hey, bro,
mean
you better be careful. Have you seen Atomic Heart? I'm just saying. I love the Butler bot. I love him. But have you seen Atomic Heart?
means a lot, actually. I've been working since I was 14.
I was investing my first couple of jobs out of college.
Ultimately stopped us from buying a house because, it was half of our down payment was locked and, I couldn't get it. So, it was a big impact, actually.
Honestly, that loss was a culmination of many years of work, to be quite frank. I saw it as my way to escape.
What that money means to me.
Can you
it's a lot
imagine,
more freedom with,
just barely earning
what
enough
we're
money
able
to be
do
able
as
to
a
start
family?
investing?
To describe what the money I lost meant to me is really hard because it's tied into a lot of what it feels like to be a grown-up or an adult. I feel like I have this stunted development. I'm almost 40 at this point, and I'm very aware as a stuntman that wants to be physical. If we have a kid last year like we wanted, all right, maybe by the time he's 20, I could show him some stuff. But the longer we wait, the more I watch my dreams and my future and my hope to be like
Bro,
functioning adults.
you're about to make me get the waterworks going, bro.
It's hard to describe what that's tied into, but it just feels like
Oh, man.
I can
relate to him
receive
so
this life.
much. I'm not even
makes
joking.
sense.
That does make sense. And
Oh,
hearing these stories made me
man.
realize
That one actually
just
feels bad.
Showing lies isn't enough. If I'm going to demonstrate
Bro,
fraud,
because
I need to get to the heart of Celsius.
especially here, like, I'm sure it's like this everywhere, of course, but especially here in the States, this whole idea of the American dream has put so much pressure on so many people to get, like, the whole, like, package, and then we start to wonder why so many of, like, the modern day YouTubers are just flexing cash and flexing freaking, labels and stuff and cars and all that, because that's, like, at this point, We've effectively turned the American dream into, if you don't have those 6 figures, you're an absolute failure. And it's like, dude, like, literally, man, like, I've had people tell me, even though, because I'm perfectly happy with like, just having a good side job and then doing this, like, as a passion, whereas everyone sort of looks at that, and I've genuinely had people that, like, look at me like I'm some insane lunatic, a monster. Well, you don't have bigger aspirations and ambitions? Like, for what, dude? So I can keep making money for some freaking, like, corporation? But it's just this, like, you're not allowed to be content. You're not allowed to be happy with what you have. And it's this poisonous, toxic mentality that's just seeping into every single human being across the U.S. And I don't think it's healthy. I think it's important to think, am I financially stable? You should always be pushing for financial stability. You should always be pushing to better your life. Of course. But you have to be happy with what you have, dude. You cannot continue to pursue just this, not unlimited, but this endless, like, loop of, like, get the money, work the job, get the stuff, get the money, work the job, get the stuff, get the money, work the job. And it's like, it's never going to end. It's never going to end. You're never going to be happy. You're just not. So start learning to be happy with what you have. And if you're not happy where you are, Get out of it. Move. Get a different job. Do something else. I can't tell you how long it took me to learn that lesson, bro. It took me 7 years to be specific.
Found out about the flywheel. The flywheel was central.
So what I'm trying to say here is I can understand where this guy's coming from and how at the age of 40, which by the way, dude, you're 40, you still got plenty of time, dude. You can still make things happen. Trust me. But I can understand how 40 years of just time and effort could just feel like you're right back at zero again. That must be so incredibly heartbreaking, bro.
It also had a crypto token called Cell, and they controlled the vast majority of it, up to 95%. So if the price of Cell went up, theoretically, the balance sheet of Celsius would also go up, and they could sustain these insane reward rates. However, in order to do so, they needed people to actually want Cell token. So the flywheel was Mashinsky's plan to do that, to create a positive feedback loop. And the way they did this was set up Cell token like a rewards program, where you could earn bonus interest if you held a certain amount of Cell, which obviously incentivizes people who wanted to get the most
the more
out of
money
their
you put
accounts
in,
to
the
buy
more
and hold
rewards you get.
These Cell tokens. On their website, they described this process as a self-sustaining ecosystem where users would buy Cell, earn more yield, get more crypto, collect interest, earn more yield, lend more coins, collect more interest, and buy more Cell tokens. Now, of course, you might notice a problem here. What if people actually go to sell their Cell tokens? Wouldn't that crash the price?
You can't make
Mashinsky had an
money
answer
out
for
of
this
nothing.
too. He told the community that Celsius would buy Cell tokens in order to pay their rewards, theoretically creating demand out of thin air. Here's him explaining this.
Like, it might be virtual
more
coins,
visitors usually
but
translates to...
Like, this might be me misunderstanding it, right? Because it might just be virtual coins, but you're effectively just printing more money, and it just doesn't work that way. You can't just... Here. It just doesn't work that way.
And that translates to more deposits, more deposit allows
the more money you print, the
more
worse
loans,
your economy will be,
more
because there
loans,
is more of that money now.
More income, and more income means
It's-
more
it's-
income
it's
that
the
Celsius
very, like,
generates from these coins.
base of,
that
you know,
people
supply
gave
and
us,
demand.
translates into us having to buy more Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cell token.
The more
and so
gold
on.
there is,
So,
for
okay,
example,
that's the flywheel.
the-
Why does it
you know,
matter?
the
Well,
less valuable the US
flywheel
dollar
and
would
this
be.
Cell token became the place where all sorts of
Inside of, you
shenanigans
know,
happened
the
with
Fort Knox
Celsius,
and all that.
because while the community was aware
Or Fort
that
wherever
they
the
were
heck.
buying back Cell to pay rewards, what they didn't know was that Celsius was using customer funds to do so, to buy their own coin. What they imagined they were doing was that they were using all this profit they were theoretically generating from making these loans to buy their own token, but that wasn't the case. This was because, as we said earlier, Celsius wasn't really profitable at all. So the only money they had to buy Cell token was their own customers' money. But it gets even worse, because starting in 2020,
Like,
Celsius
it just at its very root, like, if you put in $1,000 and you're supposed to get 80% back, how is that viable? Like, how, like, in what universe are you going to be able to do that? The next person, the next person, the next person, the next person? Like, where's all this money coming from? How are you getting back 80%?
to substantially expand its purchases of Cell.
And for those curious, the answer is there was never any money.
Instead of buying Cell
They
when
ju-
it needed to
you gave them money, and they gave it to someone else when they decided they didn't want to be a part of the program anymore.
pay rewards, Celsius began timing its purchases so that they
And then
would
when you
prop
came
up
back, like,
Cell's
where's my money?
price
They're
by
like,
creating
oh man, I
activity
gave
in
it to
the
that
market.
dude because he
Now, of
pulled
course,
out
the
before
question
you.
is here, why would Celsius go beyond its mandate to purchase more Cell than necessary and artificially boost the price? Well, perhaps it has something to do with the top holder of Celsius being Mashinsky and his executives. And this was the only way they could sell some of these tokens without crashing the price. According to the investigation, quote, between 2018 and June 2022, Mr. Mashinsky sold at least 25 million Cell tokens, realizing at least
how much did he pay? How much did he pay for his punishment?
$68.7
He
million
got
on
25
sales.
million?
Daniel Leon, also a founder of Celsius, sold at least 2.6 million in Cell.
And then frickin' Daniel over here, Daniel-san, frickin' founder, 2.6 million.
For at least $9.74 million as
Bro, I don't think I'm gonna see 2.6 million in my life.
well. That's a cash out of
I will grow
while
old and not
Celsius
see that quantity
was
of
buying
money
these sales
in my
to
life.
prevent the price from going down.
And
Quote,
that's
Celsius
a
often
cumulative.
increased the size of its resting
Like, you could
orders
take all the money
to
I've ever
buy
made
all of the Cell
throughout
that
my
Mr.
lifetime, and I
Mashinsky
probably won't
and
find
his
that.
other companies were selling. The former chief financial officer would write, "We are talking about becoming a regulated entity. and we are doing something possibly illegal and definitely not compliant. Some employees, of course, were even more direct. Quote, if anyone found out about our position and how much our founders
it's in writing, dude. How are they not?
Bad look. We are using users' USDC to pay for employees' worthless sell. And even worse, in 2022,
worthless sell
deployment specialists described their practices of buying up sell and using customer coins.
They
as
absolutely knew what they were doing.
And a few weeks later,
even if he didn't know what he was doing, there was a certain point where he said, "Oh, the ship is sinking. Grab my money. Grab their money and run."
This person was asked where money was coming from to buy sell. This person would say, "Users, like always."
Users,
this, ladies and gentlemen, is the core story. Not merely lying, it's a story of using customer funds to buy out your executives and manipulate your own cryptocurrency so you can sell for a higher price. In fact, Celsius's own purchases of their own tokens were such a large component of the market that overlaying the price of Celsius with the amount that Celsius was buying results in a near perfect match. Of the price.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
What this meant for the end
it was
user
literally
is
just given value by the users
being used for
who thought they were going to get money back.
For generating yield were actually squandered on this flywheel mechanism, and the result was that Celsius just didn't have the money to pay customers back. And what's so wild about this is that Celsius didn't even need to buy their own Cell token in the first place. They already controlled 95% of all the Cell tokens in existence, so they could have just paid rewards from that instead of buying Cell in the open market. When asked why they did it this way, one executive responded that the answer lies in who holds
I'm a little confused on that last part.
In other words, buying Cell on the open market was what propped up the price, which benefited no one more than Alex Mashinsky, who executives would refer to as the biggest
Thank you for dumbing it down. You lost me at some point there.
Depressing the market, selling up to $165,000 a day. As a result of all these actions, by the time Celsius would pause withdrawals, they had a shortfall of over $7 billion owed to customers, which after a crypto crash was more like $4 to $5 billion. Either way, hundreds of thousands of lives were ruined. And this, in my
view, the market is so incredibly volatile,
Celsius
dude.
Crossed the bright
it is
red
insane
line.
how
Rather
fast
than
it
just
changes.
Being an incompetent lender, they had created a scheme with Cell Token where new users' funds had to be used to prop up Cell Token value, which benefited their executives. It also created a need to use
and literally as new users would give money, they would pay out. Yeah, there you
because
go.
of their impossibly high rates.
He would pay out the old customers
to fuel growth.
Man,
according to the.
He literally was just like here and then here.
Examiner, this all meant that Celsius Network on a standalone basis has been
Dude was just passing money to the next one.
This meant that new users always had to keep on coming in to keep Mashinsky's flywheel going. And when they stopped coming, it was doomed to collapse. This is the textbook definition of a Ponzi scheme, where new users' deposits are required to pay old users' withdrawals. And according to the Examiner, this actually happened explicitly.
I didn't know
times.
that was like
One
the
example
basics
is from
of
June
a Ponzi scheme,
when
really.
Celsius relied on $33.4 million of USDC of new customer deposits to fund withdrawals of old customers, which Celsius couldn't afford. And this, unfortunately, is the real story.
Hold on, let me go back one more time.
Of new customer deposits to.
Could you imagine having, like, crossing your little fingies, hoping that you get $33.4 million of new customer deposits?
Fund withdrawals
that
of
panic,
old customers,
dude.
Which Celsius couldn't afford. And this, unfortunately, is the real story of Celsius, a Ponzi scheme designed as a way to take on the banks and fight for the little guy. But hey, don't take it from me. I'm just a third party. Take it from the victims themselves. I asked them what they thought.
So this was an absolute fraud from the beginning. I mean, it turns out that a lot of these businesses that they claimed to be propping up Celsius were completely fraudulent.
From what I've seen from the Examiner, more and more it looks like it was just a textbook case of a Ponzi scheme.
I don't care if it was a Ponzi scheme from the very beginning or the very end. It still was a Ponzi scheme.
It doesn't matter if he meant to start a Ponzi scheme.
right? But the second you got into those
Yeah,
circumstances, it becomes fraud.
Get a credit card, user it, and pay a credit card. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Chaos, what a perfect example. Get a credit card to pay a credit card. Just keep pushing the debt further down until it becomes an accumulated mass. Oh, man.
He made a lot of egregious claims on his Twitter, on his website, on his podcasts he would do, claiming if Celsius ever went bankrupt, all the customers would get all of their funds back. You know, there's tweets of him saying that. And as a CEO of a company, you would take that word at face value. You would believe him when he says your coins are going to come back to you. And now that everything's coming to light and showing that essentially what he was running is a Ponzi, I do believe he should face jail time, and the people that were also involved with it that were enabling that behavior.
There needs to be.
I mean, at this point, it's all in writing, dude. They have so many people
in this space, like Sam Bankman-Fried and others who just take advantage of people who believe in the technology, who believe in innovation. And you're not supposed to steal people's money, just plain and simple. You know, it's called theft. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Just being stripped of all of your wealth like that, emotional, psychological torture. You ruined people's lives, Alex. You ruined their lives, man.
I've seen so many people who are retired. I've seen people who are disabled. I saw people who are basically in like different types of countries that their average salary might be $100 a month, and they lost $1,000, and they don't even know how to feed their families. I've seen people who are literally on the verge of being homeless, if not homeless already. And you see this CEO who is gloating about this and taking money out. I think without a doubt, if like the justice system prevails, Alex should be in jail.
Well, that's our story. I reached out to Alex Mashinsky about these allegations, and he declined to comment, except to say I should talk to a Celsius employee named to clear up the FUD. Now, I talked to this employee,
the FUD, of course,
but they declined to go on the record themselves. And when asked if anyone within Celsius wanted to speak with me, I was told nobody is willing to go on the record with you. So that's where we're going to leave that. And as for Celsius,
okay. Everyone's scared of CoffeeZilla. Everyone's scared of CoffeeZilla.
They're trying to reopen their doors. They have a new plan to basically distribute whatever's left back to the holders and lawyers. And I'm not going to go too much into the details of this plan, but if you're a creditor, you can visit this page to learn more. It's not a perfect plan by any means, but I'm not sure I have any better ideas of what to do with such a bad situation.
Bro, just the fact,
that's it for
like,
me
just
for
the fact
now.
that he brings up this conversation, gives us this information. At the very least, it helps other people avoid all the people involved with Celsius if they attempt to do any future, you know, similar projects that may be fraudulent, may be scams.
I'll see you in the next one.
Very little reward this guy gets for the work that he does, which, in my opinion, to a certain extent, even exceeds that of actual legitimate investigators and detectives in the system that are fighting these crimes. Goodness. So many supporters. Thank you to all those people that help him do all this as well. Ooh, what is that? Pigwood Zero, the weirdest thing I've ever read. Oh, great. All right, well, we'll save that for another day.